Good afternoon. My name is Kris Roberts. Welcome to the Long Road. And everybody knows, unless you've really been a hermit, about the unauthorized entry into the United States, illegal aliens, refugees, migrants. All these different groups have different names. If you say certain things, like if you say illegal alien, you will offend a lot of people, and they're saying no person should be illegal, and there should be no requirement for borders. Well, a lot of the news people, politicians, they go back, forth. And they're going in, why are we letting all these people in? People say it's the right thing to do. So whoever you listen to, you have to look at their own self-interest. For example, there are some religious organizations who get paid to bring refugees in. They take care of refugees, and they house them and do everything for them. And by the end of the year, plain and simple, the refugees are expected to find their own housing and be able to have jobs and support themselves. And then they're replaced with new refugees. So and it goes to different places. There's a lot of people who make money off taking care of the refugees or migrants to quote unquote integrate into the community. And once their time's up, they're cut off, and that's their problem, because then these organizations are no longer making money for them. But there are a lot of people, a lot of organizations, corporations, you name it, that like having refugees, migrants, illegal aliens, illegal immigration into the United States, because it's a source of real cheap labor, unskilled cheap labor. And then we as the American people, we like cheap strawberries and blueberries and a lot of apples. And like, for example, legal immigrant laborers, for example, they give work permits for a lot of Jamaicans to come in, pick the apples, and when the season's over with, they go back home. So that's a legal way. But then some of the orchards have been nailed because they did not have legal people working for them. But so when we talk about, we use the word migrant, because I think migrant is one of those things that fits right in the middle. It doesn't offend a lot of people. It's not, they're saying I'm not degrading people. So what I'm not here to pass judgment on the people, whether it's the politicians letting them or whatever. This is for an informative type of show here today. So when we look at migrants, stereotypically, we look at migrants coming across the border, coming across the Rio Grande River or coming into the United States different ways. They come in trucks, they come hidden different ways. You have the coyotes who get them into the United States and drop them off. Then you have other people, like a couple of years ago, a couple of Marines got arrested because they were stationed in San Diego and they were going to the border and bringing the migrants past the border checkpoint, and they were getting paid for everyone that they made it through. My daughter calling me. Made it through. So again, there's runners in the United States that take over. But like I said, our stereotypic is a Mexican, or basically one of the people from the Myers or the Antec. The little short Mexican, short Guatemalan coming in. That's a picture. That's the picture we see on TV all the time. Well, when I was doing some research, okay, in 2022, this is the Border Patrol interaction. This is not counting the additional people that have come over and were able to bypass the Border Patrol when they come in. Okay, in 2022, the Border Patrol, 808,000 people that were stopped were Mexicans from Mexico. 808,000. 231,000 came from Guatemala. 220,000 came from Cuba. 213,000 came from Honduras. 187,000 came from Venezuela. Nicaragua had 163,000. Colombia was 125,000. The other category was 110, and we'll get to that. 97,000 were from El Salvador, 53,000 from Brazil, 53,000 from Haiti, 50,000 from Peru, 25,000 from the Ukraine, the Ecuador 24,000, Russia 21,000, India 18,000, Turkey 15,000, Romania 6,000, China 2,000. Again, this was the number that was just stopped at trying to get into the United States. A lot more get in. And what they do is let's see, for example, most, if not all, Haitian citizens who arrived at the United States-Mexican border left Haiti years ago. They lived and worked for several years in Brazil, China, other way in South America. 2021 saw a large-scale migration of Haitians through the Darien Gap. Haiti was the #1 country in the Darien Gap. I've been down the Darien Gap when I was stationed in Panama. It's a national park jungle, and get some pretty rugged rivers, and it's not, you got to get across and stuff. Not the place that you want to be, but if you come into Colombia, the Darien Gap is right there on the border of Panama and Colombia. So a lot of people that come in from South America, they have to come through the Darien Gap. El Salvador, U.S. authorities expelled 58% of the Salvadorians encountered on the U.S.-Mexican border in fiscal year 2022. 17% of the Salvador migrants encountered 2022 were unaccompanied children. 69% of Salvador migrants who were encountered in the Border Patrol Rio Grande Valley sector in Texas in 2022. So what they do is the El Salvadorians, they've picked a way, they've come. And so 17% of the Salvadorians that were encountered, so they had 6,000 people. So about 1,800%, about 1,800 of those Salvadorians were minor children. And the minor children were caught. Venezuela. Migrants from Venezuela began arriving at the U.S.-Mexican border in significant numbers for the first time in 2021. Most were flying into Mexico, which does not require visas, of visiting Venezuelan citizens that time. In January 22, after strong U.S. suggestion, Mexico imposed a visa requirement. Migration from Venezuela dropped, then steadily recovered as tens of thousands of migrants per month braved Panama's dangerous Darien Gap jungle, traveling overland all the way to the U.S. border. So if you look at the map, so they get into Colombia, then they travel through and they hire people to bring them through. They go through Panama, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, all the way up to Mexico to get to the United States. A long, deadly trip. And you wonder why people would want to take the risk. It's a costly trip. You have to pay for guides to help you. And you would hope that they would help you. But some of them, they take your money and leave you in the middle of the jungle, or they leave you in the middle of the desert. Migrants to the border from Cuba, already pushed by state repression and historic economic crisis, jumped after the Nicaragua regime in November 2021 eliminated visa requirements for visiting Cubans. So, which made easy. So when Nicaragua changed its rules, you could, if you're a Cuban, you could just fly into Nicaragua and then make your trip going north. Still a long and hard trip, but much easier. Mexico doesn't allow U.S. authorities to expel Cubans across the land border under Title 42. Cubans were not permitted U.S. expulsion flights. 98% of the Cubans apprehended at the border in 2022 were processed in the United States under normal immigration laws. Under the Cuban Adjustment Act, most will be able to apply for permanent resident status about a year in the United States. Cuba agreed in November 22 to start accepting deportation flights. So up until November 2022, basically, like they're saying, 98% of the Cubans apprehended in the border in 2022. And when you look at how many were apprehended at the border in 2022, that was 220,000 Cubans. Under the special law we have for Cubans who come into the United States, over 200,000 of them will be able to stay in the United States, and once they're in the United States for a year, can apply to be permanent residents. And basically the only Cubans that go back, if the United States determines that they're criminals, convicted of certain crimes and everything, they're put on a deportation flight and they're flown back to Cuba. Let's talk about India. In May, 90% of the Indian citizens who were encountered by Border Patrol agents in Arizona and Southeast California, they were saying they were fleeing persecution from India's national government. So between 2021 and 2022, the number of Indians that were being encountered at the border increased 607%. The number of Cubans that were expelled, Indians that were expelled under Title 42 was 0. Single adults, 41%, 27% were families, and unaccompanied children, 2%. The most frequent sectors were Yuma, Arizona, El Centro, California, and San Diego. Here's Turkey. Turkish migration between 2021 and 2022, it increased by 996%. Number of Turks that were expelled under Title 32, 0. Single adults, 72. Family units, 22. Unaccompanied children, 1. Russia, 2021 to 2022, it increased by 430%. So, what they do? Okay, come on. So, Russia in that year had 21,000 and basically expelled under Title 42 was 1%. So 1% of that was about 220 of the almost 22,000 Russians that were apprehended were sent back. China, 2021 to 2022, it went up 384%. Expelled under Title 42, there's 2%. Single adults, 92%. Family units, 7%. Unaccompanied children, about 0%. Romania, they went up from 2021 to 2022, they went up 47%. Single adults, 19%. Family units, 78%. Unaccompanied children, 3%. So here it is, Romanians. Unlike a lot of other places, it's the whole family coming, not just single adults. Again, Romania is a lot. 0 were expelled under Title 42. Brazil, single adults 23%, family unit 77, unaccompanied children expelled under Title IX was 9%. They come in Arizona, El Paso, Texas, New Mexico, and San Diego. The Chinese come in San Diego, Rio Grande Valley, and Raleigh, Texas. And so now when you go look at the people, when we're talking about, there was 110,000 in 2022 fiscal year that fell into others. Okay. That also means it's a lot of immigrants from Africa. There was immigrants from Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan. A lot of these small countries have they got more and more immigrants coming in. And also, we do have Canadians, English, Irish, other European countries that some of the people come in. One way they do it, they overstay their visa, or they just come in and no one realizes. Because, for example, the U.S. border is pretty long up in Canada. There's places, bingo, just walk through the woods and you're on the other side. And you just pick your place so you don't stand out. And when I was saying businesses really enjoy a lot of these because you no longer can classify or stereotype the migrants uneducated, no skills. Well, there are migrants who are well educated. Okay, I could be a well-educated person in Afghanistan. I'm going to be persecuted, and I'm leaving. And I may take the long road all the way through the stands, the Turkey, Iraq, into so I can get to the Mediterranean and get out. So there's so many. Or I may be taking from Africa, walking up to Libya and getting a boat and hopefully make it into Europe without the boat collapsing. Or I make it to a point where I get to a country that's welcoming and there's not other wires and stuff. So you just can't go and say, yep. And so what happens is, okay, how many people in the United States want to work at a dairy farm? Nope, not too many. A lot of the dairy farms are staffed by immigrants. Yes, some of them are legal. Some of them have work permits, but others go, hey, it's a job. And the person who owns the dairy, I don't have to pay him much. I don't maybe have to pay benefits. I don't have to pay insurance on them and do it. Okay? Look at your slaughterhouses. Okay? A lot of slaughterhouses hire legal and illegal migrants because they can make a lot of money off them. Also, it's a high-risk industry, basically cutting the cactus over and over and over on a fast moving line. Hey, you have injuries? What are you going to do? You know what? I'm going to report you to immigration. If you're the ones in here that brought your family, so I'm going to report that you and your family are illegal. So, hospitality, dairy, beef, slaughterhouse, agriculture, chicken, having those chickens just move on a conveyor belt over and over. So we've created really an underground. Are there illegal aliens or illegal migrants, undocumented migrants in Keene? Yeah. There's businesses in Keene that employ undocumented migrants because it increases their profit margin. Look at some of the building projects here. Whether it's down at the college, where you had kind of a group, they come in, they live all together in a small house, do their work. And like when we had the project build the new middle school, being on a school board, I said, hey, you know what? I've seen what the college has done. I've seen what some of these other businesses come in, bring them in, bingo. They do all the tough work, the framing or bricklaying and everything, and then they're quickly out. And then we get a nice local looking crew doing all the finishing touches. And so I went and says, because we're building this project on school property, we need to follow the state law. And the state law says if you're going to be a contractor working on the school property, you must get fingerprinted. Well, one of the companies working, all of a sudden they couldn't get enough workers. The project fell behind and stuff because the normal thing is like, oh, yep, we start the project, bingo, and then we get this group come in, do it, work, whether they want to do the sheetrock or different things, in, out, never to be seen again. Okay? Walmart doesn't mind. Walmart makes an awful lot of money off migrants. They don't care if they're legal or illegal, they got money. Banks, they don't care if you're legal or illegal. Okay? They'll give you special numbers that you can use, and you don't have to have a social security number. Nope, bank. Oh, nope, here it is. Okay? If you're illegal, you can still file your income tax to get some money back. But when you look at it, what the people get paid, and a lot of them, they're used and abused and easily thrown away or replaced. When I was stationed in California, there was the guy who, you go to work and everything, and you see the people working in the strawberry fields and stuff. And he would say, nope, I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you part of the money now, but when we're all finished, when the season's done, I'm going to pay you. And he had an individual that looked just like the workers, spoke the language, knew all the stuff. And just as they were about to finish up and it came time for them to get paid, quote unquote, the friend that was helping out all the workers would just go to immigration and say, hey, look at all those undocumented workers down there. Immigration would make the raid, take them away, and these guys did not have to pay. Well, you can only do that so many times before you get in trouble. And the guy did get in trouble, did go to jail. We had one a while back when I was talking to the apple pickers. The guy got arrested for basically for slavery because he limited what they could do and he wasn't paying them, but he made them work. Figure, say, hey, what the heck? Who's going to believe the migrants? And plus, the migrants are not here legally, and so what are they going to do? Well, as Paul Harvey stated, the rest of the story. Why do a lot of migrants come here? And a lot of them, basically, it's no different than we had immigration back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. They come here and they go to their local community. Hey, you got a Polish section in Chicago. You get an Irish section in Boston. You get a Haitian section in Miami. You get a Chinese section in Chinatown in Boston or Chinatown in San Francisco. So what they do is they can come in and they blend right in. So, and why is this important? And why? Because if they can blend in, they can get housing and they can do stuff, especially if they have a family, and it helps them learn the American culture, not the culture they came from. But the reason is a lot of them do this. And the reason is you see a lot of unaccompanied adults, both male and female. The number states about 51% of the unaccompanied adults that come across the border are women. Women who may be mothers, leaving their children behind with their grandmothers. Husbands leaving their family and children behind. Things that we wouldn't do. And I'm saying, oh, sorry, dear. I'm going to take a 2,000-mile trip, or I'm going to take a 10,000-mile trip. I'm going to pay this individual life savings and even part of what I earn so I can do this. And you go, oh, honey, what about me and the kids? Don't worry, I'll take care of you. How do they take care? Migrant workers around the world sent over, in 2022, over $800 million back to their families. Just think of it. Almost $1 trillion back to their families. And last year, Mexico, $40 million was sent back to Mexico. Okay. And you go, okay. For example, in 2022, $43 billion, billion, amen. Yeah, 43, yeah, Mexico had 40 billion. In 2023, 43 billion went to India. Okay. The number one place to get the money, India was up to 85 billion. Mexico was 40 plus billion. Philippines, a little bit under 38. Egypt, the Arab Republic, over 30. France is over 30. Pakistan's about 30. Bangladesh is about 28. Germany was about 25. China was 20. And Nigeria was a little bit less than 20. You have people moving around the world, and this is part of what they're sending back. And like I said earlier, you go, wait a minute. You're looking at 30 billion that goes to France, and over 20 billion goes to Germany. There'd be a lot of Germans and a lot of French people walking around based on stereotypes. We would never ever think of them as maybe being unauthorized migrants. Like, for example, Egypt, Arab Republic, a lot of Egyptians work in the Middle East and things like that. A lot of Filipinos would be working in places like Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. The same thing with the Bangladeshis. Now, when you go to the other side, Tonga, it's a small country, but 40% of its GDP, Tonga, is the money that is sent back by the Tongan migrants around the world. Kyrgyzstan, 32%. Pakistan, it's a TAKJ, it's about 28%. Somalia is about 28%. El Salvador, 25%. Haiti, 25%. Samoa, about 25%. Honduras, 25%. And Gambia, 25%. Okay. That is big numbers. And one of the things when I said there is a lot of people that make money, okay? You go to any Walmart, you go to customer service, and what do you see on the up on top? You see either Western Union, MoneyGram, and you've got the regular rate, and you get the international rate. So right now, if I'm an unauthorized migrant and I'm working under the table and I'm married and I got family in Nicaragua, I can go into Walmart, say, here's my $300 and I want to send it to a MoneyGram place in Guatemala, Nicaragua. Bingo. Walmart says no questions asked. They take the money, they take a fee, and it's done. Money, MoneyGram does about $20 billion in transfers each year. Western Union does $80 billion. That was in 2011, so that's really doubled. And Western Union's profit margin on these transfers up to 28%. So Western Union is there taking advantage. The person has to pay up front, and for the person in Nicaragua or Honduras that's receiving it, they have to pay to get it back. And when you go and look, I had seen this, some of the remittance could easily be about $200 to $300 a week, and $200 to $300, month. Yep. Okay. On average, migrant workers send between $200 and $300 home once every 2 months, and so those international money transfers tend to be costly. On average, currency conversion and fees amount to 7% of the total amount. So, hey, basically, if I pay $6 up front in Walmart to send $300 home, okay, time I get to the conversion fees and all that other kind of stuff, that's 7%. So now my family has lost $21. It's $279, and basically it might be less, and most likely it will be less by the time family gets it. The small amounts of $200 to $300 that each migrant sends home makes about 60% of the family household income. It is estimated that 3/4 of remittance are used to cover essential things, put food on the table, cover medical expenses, school fees, or housing expenses. Additionally, in time of crisis, migrant workers tend to send more money home to cover loss of crops or family. About $100 billion of the remittance back home are saved or invested in asset building. It's why do a lot of migrants put up with a bunch of this stuff and how they're treated, or why they're going to take the risk to do it, is that they want a better standard of living. They want a better standard of living for their families. Somalia, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Gambia, there's a whole Afghanistan, there's a whole list of Bangladesh, there's a whole list of countries around the world. They're just barely surviving type countries where the average person on the street is living in abject poverty. So taking the risk to make it to America and to be abused, like we're finding a lot of more and more. Just the other day, there was 4 more kids, a lot of migrant kids who are unaccompanied. They got to make money. Companies are taking advantage. Oh yeah, you look older, and doing it and pay, and some are getting hurt. Okay. A lot of our businesses have made a lot of money off the backs of migrants. And you would think, for example, I'm building a house and I got to do all this sheetrock. So the contractor, ain't no problem. So the contractor says, hey, I got people under the table. I can do this work for 30% less. Hey, I may go and say, yeah, that's really good. Let's do it. So he comes in, for example, I think it's the Nicaragua or the El Salvadorian that are really great sheetrockers, and they use all the time when I was living in Southern California when they were building these houses. Okay, guy comes in, contractor comes in, he does these people, works them long hours into the night, bang, 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 bingo, here's your money, disappear. And I go, wow, these guys done a really great job, great craftsmanship, something to be proud of. I get my final bill, and I don't see the 30% that was saved by using this illegal contractors. That 30% that was saved went into the pocket of the contractor. And you would figure if I'm saving, if you're doing this to reduce the cost, why aren't you passing it on to me? That's a selfish way to look at it. But the point is, yeah, you're using migrants because you can make money and big money off of migrants. The other part goes to migrants. Every one of the children has to go to school. People are making money on that. New York City has a problem. Oh, crap. We got 10,000 migrant children and we pay $25,000 to educate a child in the New York school system with not great results. People are going to make that. Or we get the people and they have social welfare needs. Oh, people are going to make money on that. Hotels, New York and some of the other ones, it's saying, hey, if I have a good night, I have 70% occupancy. But if I throw everybody out and I go rent it to the city and I tell the city I got 240 rooms, the city says, okay, we'll fill these 240 rooms and we'll pay this rate. Guy goes, hey, I'll take it. And so it just comes a vicious circle of people using other people. A lot of people are making money off the backs of migrants. And the thing is, honestly, after being in politics for, up at the State House for 12 years, it's Stuff County. The reason so many migrants are being allowed in, I don't know if allow is or best thing prevented from entering, is that there's a group of people who are making money off the migrants. If you're in politics and you look at the economy, it's like Jerry Maguire. Follow the money, show me the money. And plain and simple, right now, like I said, if I own a house, or I mean a rent, or I own a hotel, whatever, I can make money, more money, taking care of the migrants than I can take care of the regular people. It's going to be a time when they're going to say enough is enough, for too much. We have too much. What are we going to do? And so it's kind of like, hey, now we let 5 million migrants in over the last 2 years. Yeah, that's just a number. Okay. Some of them will get jobs, some of them will blend in, and no one will even notice. But we're not going to be cold-hearted. If they get sick, they show up at the hospital, we're going to treat them. Plain and simple. There's so much stuff. And now that's what places like Chicago, New York, Boston, the governor of Massachusetts just declared a state of emergency because now they have 20,000 migrants. And then it goes the point where bunch of people are making money off the back of the migrants, and then it comes to the point where the cost of the migrants to the general population definitely outweighs the benefits that certain businesses were making off the backs of migrants. New York City is going to take a bunch of migrants and put them on an island. Going to put tents up, going to put on an island. What are they going to do? And I just sit there and I look. Yes, migrants are people. Migrants are political pawns. Migrants are used and abused by coyotes. Some migrants, they have to be drug runners. Some migrants are sexually abused. Kids are sexually abused. Kids disappear. People get killed. But again, follow the money. If there wasn't a need, there wouldn't be. Okay? China, you go, why would Chinese? Well, Chinese restaurants around the country get raided a lot of times because a lot of employees are not legal. We've heard stories about Chinese people in containers coming across the ocean, and in a couple cases where the people died. You got Ukraine, you got Eastern Europe, you got China. Part of it is, hey, the sex trade. The sex trade where it's in Europe. The sex trade that's in the United States. So, you got this group of migrants. A lot of them are coming here hoping for a better future, a better quality of life, and able to take care of their family back home. And if everything works out, they can be reunited with their family. If it doesn't work out, they may never see their family again. There's other people that come in, kind of like I said, the sex trade, the drug trade, who come in to make money off the backs of other people. But migrants are coming from all over the world to come into the United States. There is no stereotypic migrant anymore. The education level can be varied. So when you're walking down the street, you can't, in most cases now, you could walk right by an undocumented migrant and not know, because some of the migrants speak very well English. no accent, no problem at all. But we have to stop using the people as a way to make a certain group wealthier. Some of these people pay $10, $15, $20,000 just to make it to the United States. And so, but that's it. I know I rambled, but I wanted to get across is migrants come from all over the world. Migrants are not just illiterate people. Migrants come from all different colors. And one of the biggest reasons for migrants to come to the United States is to earn money, to send money home to their families. So just thinking, in a bunch of cases, most of the cases, migrants want just what we want for our family, but they get used and abused, whether for financial reasons or politicians use and abuse them for political reasons to get votes. But these are people, and we need to take care of people. We need to do it, treat them right, and we need to have a correct procedure. So that's it for the end of the show.
Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.